Speaking of Canada, let's now preview their massive game against Croatia. The big question, Nick Mendola, is can Canada do to Croatia what they did to Belgium in that very impressive game? Yes, they lost to Belgium. They shouldn't have. We're still scratching our heads to figure out how that happened. But basically, is it pretty much the same game plan against an aging Croatia side that will see them get their tournament off and running? Because there's so much to love about John Herman and this young Canadian team.
There is a lot to love. I think, first of all, there's no chance whatsoever that you're catching them off guard the way that you may have caught Belgium a little bit off guard. A, you've shown your system a little bit. B, John Herdman said what he said about what they're expecting to do to Croatia. And while there's nothing really wrong with that, and I bet he wishes he wouldn't have said that out loud to a microphone, I think the issue here is, yes, Croatia is a little bit older in the midfield, but their backs are, I think, a lot more spry, if you will. And they've got players who can control the middle of the pitch. They've got a Mateo Kovacic. They've got
Modric, obviously.
Yeah, but I'm missing the center back.
Gvardiol from Leipzig.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was trying to think of. I'm not even going to try and say his first name. They've got lively players who can really, really affect a game. And I really think this has Canada has a chance here. It's better than a puncher's chance, but I'm expecting Croatia to show us a little something after a lackluster start.
Yeah, Andy, it was a lackluster start for Croatia, wasn't it? I mean, Perisic, Modric tried to roll back the years, but it maybe seems, again, like another tournament too far for a group of players. Is that fair enough to say about Croatia? Because we kind of saw it in the Euros coming, didn't we, as well?
Yeah, two tournaments too far, I would say, like, respectable at the Euros, but I think it's been clear for a while, Modric, as he had his crowning moment getting he won a Ballon d'Or a few years ago. They went to the World Cup final and lost to France. If that's, and I understand why you hang on, because you have a player of that quality and you look beyond that group, and that's got to be terrifying. If you've got a group that's good enough to get you to a World Cup final, we would have no idea what that's like in the United States. But I can imagine then just having to say, all right, got to move on from all of them. Got to start anew, basically. That is a difficult thing to do. But they were slow. They didn't have a ton of ideas. They were second to react to absolutely everything in their opening game, and it just ticked all of the boxes that said this team might be done. And it's at the World Cup is not the time for a team to have the realization that your team is done and that the cycle has come to the end. And so I do think there is something in this game for Canada to get, but they have to be more clinical. They have to put it, obviously they have to score a goal to win the game, but they have to make more of that dominance and the chances that they create, because they were brilliant for a time against Belgium, but they were as good as they were for the rest of the field. They were that bad in the penalty area.
That's very true. And obviously they're looking for their first ever goal, right, in the World Cup final. So it's only their second ever trip, but, they're getting closer. Alphonso Davies missing the penalty kick didn't really seem to impact his confidence in the game against Belgium. And you're right, that will give them a lot of confidence, that performance. And I think just the way that everyone's talked about them since then have been so impressed. I mean, if you've watched them in CONCACAF the last few years, like we've been lucky enough to, you're not that surprised by how they play and how well they played. But I think the rest of the world now has really come up, and you could just hear them, pundits everywhere saying, oh, Canada were impressive. Canada were great. It's almost like, the hipster team of the World Cup, right? There's always one team that really impresses people out of nowhere. But we should have expected this from this Canadian team. And now you're right. They need some of those star young attacking players. They've got to actually put the ball in the back of the net, and they'll get lots of chances. Croatia will make it tough, though. They'll just sit back, try and I think they are, Nick hit the nail on the head there. They're better defensively than Belgium are. But it's in the midfield there. If they can kind of put pressure on Kovacic and Modric and those kind of players, then they could get some joy there. But that out wide, right? Canada, they can get those wide players cutting inside as well. They've got a lot of options, and it's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. And if you look at the way the group is obviously stacking up, they play against Croatia. Even if they get a point, it's not the end of the world, Canada, because then they play Morocco last, and that's pretty much going to be a showdown, right, to get in, because then Croatia would have Belgium in their final group game. So it works out pretty well schedule-wise. Nick, what are we going for predictions for Canada against Croatia? Are we going to go for a win for our neighbours north of the border?
No, I'm going to go for Croatia to pick up a 2-1 win. But Canada does get its goal, and it's Jonathan David who delivers it.
Oh, good prediction. Very specific. I like it. Andy, what about you?
Not a first win. They'll get their first goal. They'll get their first point, though. I think there's actually going to be a few goals in this game. I just think it's going to be open, and neither team necessarily. Well, Croatia certainly doesn't want that, but I just think that Canada showed against a team like Belgium, they can stretch the field, they can up the tempo anytime that they want to with their press, and I think they'll have some success doing that again. They'll score a couple times, but another hard lesson of the World Cup probably for Canada: as good as you perform, the result matters above everything else.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Canada. I think it's about time. I think they did it a lot during CONCACAF qualifying. That seemed to be one of the results that popped up a lot. So I think they get a goal early to settle their nerves, and then that forces Croatia to be a lot more attack-minded, and that will suit Canada very, very well. I think there's a lot to be said about momentum, familiarity, and this is a really fun team to watch. So hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun watching them against Croatia. We have another really good game there in what is a very tight group. I think it will go right down to the wire in Group F. So,
hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.